Hello everybody and welcome back to the funniest tweets. Today is the Miami Grand Prix and I was mentally preparing myself for a, let's say, slightly underwhelming episode. And the memes are usually quite good when we have a boring race because you have more time to be creative. However, some things happened and you did your submissions, so let's dive into them. K-Mag Chaos. We have to start with the man of the moment, the star of the weekend. Now, you might think I'm about to say Lando Norris. No. Kevin Magnuson. At Elliot314159 when I'm in a getting penalties competition and my opponent is K-Mag. Now, of course, we've had a sprint weekend, so lots of action has gone on, and Kevin has been involved in almost all of it. We thought maybe we needed to nerf Max Verstappen or change the regulations. All we need to do is let Kevin cook. Now, I know some of his driving, slightly questionable to say the least, but my goodness me, he carried the sprint when it comes to entertainment and then, well, lost Max Verstappen the race, really, by, for some reason, sending it up the inside of Logan Sargent in a very obscure place. At Ruben Homewood 1, when you've won 8 penalty points and you're on your way to win a race ban. I love how you called it win a race ban here, Ruben. But yeah, you got a little Viking helmet. The Mr. Bean meme, I am totally here for it. He drove like he doesn't want to drive anymore. And I mean, not at the end of the season, but because penalty points, I mean, as of recording right now, I don't know how many he's now on. But I would imagine I think he went in, or at least it was kind of a bit difficult to find out how many penalty points he's actually on. And there was supposed to be another conversation with the stewards after qualifying. I don't even know if that was ever reported. But he was on 8. And then he's taken out Logan Sargent. That should mean 11, which means 1 more point and he gets a race ban. At Scorpion TV 15, Kevin is the saviour of F1. Yes. Similar to how Nicholas Latifi was at certain points. We won't bring up a certain race where he changed everything. But yeah, K-Mag just drove. Like he said in the sprint, didn't he, that he was just trying to do it for the team. Driving aggressively to try and keep Hamilton behind. I don't really know why he was being as aggressive against a Williams. The poor Williams team as well. They're probably finally going, yes, we've got a spare chassis. We now don't have a spare chassis. Thank you, K-Mag. At Crystal Horner, F1 fans hoping for an entertaining race. K-Mag, he was our saviour, wasn't he? He really was. At Scuderia Charles, Magnuson picking up penalties this weekend. Now, he was actually brought to the stewards to talk about his unsportsmanlike behaviour, which maybe his interviews with the TV and the press didn't help, where he was saying it's not the way I like to drive. But then what probably worked in his favour is that Hamilton didn't really have anything against it. And when we look to today's race, it felt like Hamilton was actually more angry with Hülkenberg at one of the same corners where he had the incident with Magnuson the day before. So who knows what's going to happen with K-Mag, but I hope he doesn't get banned. I really don't. Respect is vital. Kevin Magnuson when another driver comes too close. The amount of K-Mag memes is frightening, but he was literally the headliner, wasn't he? Another one, at the Nerio, Kevin Magnuson be like, take down. Oh dear. I wonder if, like, maybe, because he's got children, he's also got a wife, I believe. Perhaps one of their birthdays is coming up, and he thought, you know what, I can't be asked to do Imola anyway. It's your birthday coming up. I'll take you out at the weekend of when they're racing around Imola. No surprises, there are 2 more memes on the K-Mag front. Emmy loves F1. Magnuson this weekend collecting penalties like Infinity Stones. Really did. But he did allow Hülkenberg to score a couple of points, even though Nico did not play the team game and straight line the chicane so that K-Mag would lose DRS, which I'm sure probably made him boil ever so slightly. And then the final one is Rob the Bob, K-Mag's penalties this weekend. Bless him. Lando Norris. Oh!
That's a safety car. That's a safety car.
Lando's going to lead. Lando's going to lead! He's ahead of the safety car. You can see it on the track map. He'll go round, he'll do his pit stop, and he'll still be ahead of Max.
Wow.
Lando's going to be leading with less than half the race to go. I'm going to have a heart attack. Max is slow. God, I've not wanted anyone, apart from Charles Leclerc in his first victory, to win more their first race than Lando right now. Please. Into the last corner. Lando Norris. You're a Formula One race winner. Come on. We're now on to the segment that I cannot wait to talk about. Lando Norris is a Grand Prix Formula One race winner. And I could not be happier for him. Before we get into the memes, before we get into any of that, Lando Norris got a hell of a lot of stick for being a very decent driver. People are very quick to judge through unwanted records, similar to Nico Hülkenberg in some ways, but Lando Norris, of course, had the most podiums without a victory. Until today, where, of course, that gets kind of wiped clean, I think. But Lando outdrove that car on so many occasions. Yes, he has made the odd mistake. People will still question whether he's World Championship worthy. However, today is the day where we know he is a race winner. He has proved himself that he can race at the front. He proved that in Russia. I'm sorry, anyone that denies that, it was a 50-50 gamble. Lando Norris has finally been able to shut all the haters and the criticisers out there that he is someone that cannot deliver at the highest level. And I am so happy for him. I was smiling ear to ear, and I was very nervous as well in the last few laps. But when he came across the line and you saw how much it meant to him when he got out of the car, it was a very, truly special moment. At CLN_Najisa, I'm seeing a pattern here. Injured, appendicitis. Won the next race, did Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris injured himself, I think, in the Netherlands, and he won the next race he started in. So, I'm not saying that Formula One drivers should go and get injured. However, an appendicitis surgery might well do the trick. This one's great. Jan_Trubasic. Max when Lando wins versus Max when Max wins. It's so true. Max genuinely seemed happier to see Lando win than when he wins. Of course, he has won a lot now. Max is very used to it. And they're great friends. I'm sure there wouldn't have been any kind of jealousy there. Max has won plenty of times. And I'm sure he's always wanted Lando to do well. But of course, he's also a competitor and he's not going to let him through and win. So I did find that as a very good meme, though, Jan. So well done. At Andrew Greaves 12, Lando celebrating with his crew. He leapt like a salmon over that Parc Fermé barrier, straight into about 20 engineers. It was like he'd just won a Formula One race and there was no wait. He just flew. And then I was like, oh no, please tell me there isn't like a rule where he can't go and do that until he's been weighed. Or, maybe, I was just, all these, you don't want anyone to get a penalty, especially Lando Norris when he's just won a race, you know what I'm saying? But it was a very cool moment. And I think that was when it properly hit him, where he saw all of the people he works day in, day out with, so buzzing for him. And not just the mechanics, every driver pretty much was very, very happy. I loved Lewis Hamilton's little onboard that he had when he came alongside Lando and was literally fully clapping at the fact Lando had just won. It was such a heartwarming moment, and one that, I will remember for a very, very long time. At Harvey Lim 864, McLaren fans, Piastri out of the points, Lando win. I think this is a good opportunity to just talk about Oscar Piastri very quickly. He drove excellently. That was his best race, flat out. I know Qatar obviously won the sprint, but as a main feature normal race, and I think just generally as a race anyway, that was his best performance. He was driving so unbelievably well, managed to get himself into such a good position in P2, and then of course with that battle with Carlos it didn't work out, but Oscar should, I know he probably won't because his teammates just won the race and it will be mixed feelings, but he should take a lot of pride in how he drove the Miami Grand Prix, because it was that one thing that we've always been talking about was, can he deal with the race pace? Can he keep the tyres in a good window? This race was very difficult on tyres and he did amazingly well. So Oscar, thumbs up, but it is a little bit sad for him. At Rihanna_M, me watching Lando doing fastest laps 3 seconds in front of Verstappen, and there's an actual chance that he finally might win. Can you imagine our hearts had Verstappen been within DRS for the entire 20 laps trying to hunt Lando down, I don't think McLaren fans would have been able to watch, to be honest with you. I was nervous as it is, him 7 seconds down the road. You just wonder what's going to happen. What is the universe going to throw at him to make things difficult? But he drove away. Of course, he had fresher hard tyres than what Max did, but the McLaren looked really good anyway. All weekend, we look, talking about the sprint, Lando's maybe thrown things away, or McLaren haven't got it right with how they were warming the soft tyres up on quali, whatever. They've won the race. And I'd like to think and dream that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't a one-off and the McLaren have smashed, 10 upgrades on Lando's car or something ridiculous, and it's working, but I think it was also quite unique conditions with how hot it was, and also Miami is not a conventional track like Imola is. At This Is Kush, Lando dodging commentators' curses. The amount of times we were live on Twitch, Matt P1 Tommy. If you haven't joined us for a watch along before, Crafty was saying so many things with like 10 laps to go about Lando winning, and the amount of shut-ups I saw in the chat was crazy. But he dodged them and he won the race. At Alex Humphrey _33, this one makes me feel very good. They can't call him no wins anymore. Oh, it feels good. Shouldn't have called him that anyway, but I'm now glad they can't. Honourable mentions. 3, 4, 5 red lights. Oh, God.
Perez. Oh, my God. Perez was
he's
so
the luckiest
close.
man alive.
Oh.
He is the luckiest man alive.
Oh
my
God.
God. How has he not sent Max into another dimension?
That was so close.
Oh,
Holy
my God.
crap.
It was championship back on. Right, we're now into honourable mentions, where just everything else that doesn't really fit into a segment go. And the first one is Ticey46, Max seeing the first corner replay. Now, that probably feels like a million years ago, but Sergio Perez nearly sent Max Verstappen into another realm. He missed that car by centimetres. And that would have caused a lot of intrigue about how that would have then developed afterwards. But instead, Perez got away with it. Didn't really see too much of Perez in this race, to be honest with you. But Max's reaction, it was funny. Tommy was saying, look, I'm happy if Max doesn't win, even though he's a Max fan. He wants to see someone new win. But as long as he gets on the podium so I can see his cool-down room reaction. And there it is. At Fanboy Journals, Max seeing how close Checo got to his diffuser. I wonder what their conversations would have been post-race in the little Red Bull, motorhome, whatever. I wonder exactly what that conversation would have been like. I'm sure Max is pretty chill about it, although seeing that he was rather shocked. But considering he didn't actually feel the effects or the wrath of Sergio Perez's front wing, I'm sure he'll get over it, and I'm sure they had a bit of banter as well. At Sinsem Shumi, Bottas popping in out of nowhere for driver of the day. That was the most rogue 12% of people voting for Bottas, who I think at the time of that coming through was running in 17th place. He was being beaten by his teammate comprehensively, and everyone was like, you know what? I fancy a bit of Bottas. Maybe it was all the P1 fam from the podcast that saw me and Tommy putting biggest good surprise for Valtteri Bottas. If it was, thank you for trying to get us a point. However, that was very odd. I don't really know what Bottas had done at any stage to deserve 12%, but alas, just Valtteri things. At Shay_MJG, your Lewis Hamilton all weekend in Miami. Yeah, Hamilton did not have a good time with those Haas drivers, did he? But as I said, seemed more peeved off about Hulkenberg than he did Magnuson. But either or, it's just how a McLaren, as a Mercedes engine customer, winning a race and Mercedes are nowhere. What is going on at that team, honestly? At Turn to Page 394, Checo at Lights Out. That is actually a fantastic give. I mean, very dangerous, but to actually visualise what happened, that was what Sergio Perez did. Not only just missing Max, but also nearly wiping Carlos out, had Carlos not seen him at the last second as well. So Checo got away with that one. Just going to throw this on in anyway. I know we've seen it, but it's a zoom in at KUPay695. When your teammate sends it and almost takes you out in the first corner. That is such a funny picture of Max. I had to include it. I'm sorry. At Cage P22, us to the drivers in the final few laps. No fighting, no effing fighting. It was so true. Myself and Tommy found ourselves, and everyone in chat, going, stop fighting. Oscar, this is for 16th place. Your teammate is literally winning with 5 laps to go. Stop fighting Daniel Ricciardo as if your life depends on it. If a safety car comes out, we're in big trouble, okay? And even McLaren went over the radio, didn't they, to Oscar and basically said, calm down, Lando's winning the race, okay? I'm sure he was probably a little bit annoyed, Oscar, which is fair enough. And I'm so glad he did not cause a safety car. Although it felt like there was so much side-by-side battling in that midfield in the last 10 laps that you just thought it was inevitable. At Daniel Wittenboo 1 voted for the true GOAT. Driver of the day, the cone. The cone was, I guess, the first domino in everything kicking off. So, and that was Max. Max hit it, so realistically, it was Max's fault. This meme is absolutely wild. At Vanch Patel 35055, Piastri P2 and the McLarens with strong pace. Cheeky safety car at the expense of Loki Bear's career. Lando win Bosch. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it was at the expense of Logie Bear's career. Of course, Logan, a lot of talk about whether that was his last race. I don't think it probably is, although seems that there's some Kimi Antonelli chatter about potentially going to Williams at some point. But it wasn't his fault. It wasn't Logan's fault. Like, K-Mag just doing K-Mag things. But yes, it created a Lando win. Lando Norris wins! How is that real? At Daryl Mukris to max off that insane Miami GP, look at me, I am your curse. Just saying, I'm 6 out of 6 for biggest flops this year, which is ridiculous considering how good last year's biggest flop was going as well. So I'm sorry if I've affected your favourite driver at any point this or last season. Right, it is time for Tommy's Tasty Tweet, sponsored by EA and F124. Tommy, who is winning a copy of F124 when it launches?
That person is Professor Chuckles. And boy, did we chuckle at this meme, because it is a classic. Biggest flop. I can't believe you've done it again. You took on the big dog, Max Verstappen, and people will joke, like, how can he be biggest flop P2? But he is that good now that P2, it is a flop because he has been completely dominant. So fair play, and it's a great meme.
It is an amazing meme, so well done. Max Verstappen has been defeated via the biggest flop. And yes, God, my goodness me, I can't believe it came true. But thank you so much, everybody, for your submissions. If you want to win next time, hashtag P1 within a chance for Imola, which is next. So we'll see you there. Thanks, Tommy.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Right, that is it. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for the amazing support this weekend, turning up on Twitch. I think nearly over 17,000 of you turned up during our watch along, which is just absolutely ridiculous numbers. Thank you for supporting this series, for getting involved, hashtag P1. Thank you to EA and F124 for getting involved with Tommy's Tasty Tweet. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. Of course, we've got all the main podcasts, which will be juicy. We've got driver ratings and some other stuff coming out between now and Imola, but that's the next race. So we'll see you then. Lots of love. Bye.